Hi, I am Ahonu, and on behalf of my lovely Aingeal Rose, welcome to this session of Phone Home with Margaret Gallagher. We're just finished a Phone Home session, which is the 5th in the series. And by way of a little recap, the last time I had met 6 kings out of 12. In a previous session, 12 kings had appeared. The last session, 6 of them appeared, and they gave me advice. And each one of the 6 kings gave a kind of what I felt was negative advice, in the sense that it was don't do this or stay away from that or be careful of the other thing. It was kind of cautionary advice, in that sense negative. But this time round, I met the other 6 kings. And this time it was very positive advice. There wasn't any negatives at all. I was scribbling the notes down as fast as I possibly could during Margaret's meditation. And the 6 pieces of advice that they gave me in rotation was: trust what you already know. And there was no real explanation for any of these. They more or less quickly went on around a circle, but I did write down what I felt in the moments that I had about what that meant. It was like, stop seeking permission for the truth. Now, that was a throwback to the kind of negative thing the previous week or the previous session, where it was saying don't do this and stop doing that. But it was really about stop seeking permission for the truth. Trust what you already know. And that alone sent me in a kind of a tailspin, knowing that there's another 5 of these to come. The second one was speak with courage. And again, I felt that I already speak with courage. So I didn't really grasp what it was they were asking me to do, or telling me to do, indeed. But it was a recognition that a lot of times in the past, I remained silent because I was trying to protect myself or others. And what it was saying was, speak with courage, because truth is truth. And, just for visuals, like each time a king, to deliver this kind of statement, they stepped forward, and like the others stepped back they faded, and the king stepped forward. The third one said, always choose what gives you life. And I understood that in my own mind in the middle of the meditation to mean, the way they say birds of a feather fly together, or choose your friends wisely kind of thing, that if you're associating with people who drain you, for example, that's not a good thing. So work with people who restore and support your energy rather than those that take it. This discernment, I guess, was what it was saying. Choose what gives you life. The next guy stepped forward and he said, receive without guilt. And I took a moment. I remember thinking, like, what exactly do you mean by that? And of course, a lot of times I know in my own life, it like receiving was a difficulty, no problem to give, but to receive was an issue. And I felt that it was saying, like, allow abundance to come into your life, allow love, allow prosperity without guilt and with no apologies. So it was a pretty powerful thing to say. The next guy said, create before you are certain. And I know that is I suppose you could call it a maxim that goes around in the publishing world, where they say, just get it down on paper. Don't worry about it being correct or you can always come back and fix it, but get it. And the same thing they say too in the marketing world about launching a product or a service. Just launch it, and then you can always make corrections and stuff. But if you're forever making corrections, you'll never launch it. And I think it was along those lines that this advice was given: create before you're certain. So in other words, let the action happen first, trusting your gut. I think that was what the core of it was: trust your gut, do it, and then make course corrections as you go. And that was a pretty powerful one for me, because I find a lot of times, and I know a lot of creators do too, they want to get it right first. They want to get it perfect. And then the last one was stand in your sovereignty. Now, this one is a big one, and I'll explain why. And it was more about personal sovereignty rather than kind of political sovereignty. And I wrote down that it was meaning to rule your inner kingdom with compassion, with clarity, and with conscious choice. Now, why that was important was I felt this is all kind of coming together. I know this is a long-winded kind of an explanation, but what's happening and what's been happening in the last week with Aingeal Rose and I, we have these 6,500 profound statements from the Akashic Records, and I've been categorizing them and sorting them. And I suppose in line with that thing about create before you're certain, it's like I was trying to get it all right before doing anything with it. And so we went ahead and we decided to use 22 of those profound statements from the Akashic Records and create a book out of it. And 22 of them are all about sovereignty. And that's what the last king was saying, is stand in your sovereignty. And so we spent the last week writing this book and designing the cover, and we've got it like halfway there. And it's really, really interesting what's coming out. It's like being downstepped. It's like as if it's knowledge and intuition and information and instinct all coming into the form of a book. And so we're going to do that as our next book club reading. Yeah, and that is going to be really interesting, and I will be making announcements about that very, very shortly. But why that was important, I think, is because it's not as if I'm the only one receiving this information. It's available to everybody, and everybody has that capacity to do all of these things and to be sovereign. So it feels very timely. There was another thing that I got before the kings left, and we didn't have enough time, I felt, because I felt the kings receding as they were kind of jointly saying this message to me. And it was, think in 12s. Now, there was 12 kings, right? And what I understood that to mean was 12 chapters in a book, which, interestingly enough, there are 12 chapters in this sovereignty book that we're putting out right now. And Aingeal Rose seemed to be the queen over all of them. So the numbers were interesting. It's like the 12 tribes of Israel, or the 12 apostles with Jesus as the 13th. It was really like, it was in a space of what felt like infinite creativity. And when Margaret was closing the session, I felt as if, oh no, God, I want to stay there. I want to stay there. I want to stay there. It was very supportive, very energizing, very clean, and felt full of truth and authenticity, and achievable though. Because you know how in the world of your mind, it's like as if, sure, you can achieve anything, you can be anything. But this was like grounding it down into practicality. So that was it. I don't know what else to say. Another absolutely stunning session from Margaret in the phone home. And I really appreciate you doing it, Margaret, and I appreciate everybody who watches and listens to this. And hopefully you do the practices, because those meditations are indeed very, very powerful. So thank you, thank you, thank you.